Today I thought I'd take a walk around my garden. It's Creedmoor here, and show a little bit of what I do to plant seeds the simple way in mature soil. Anyway, this right here you can see is an example of our onion beds. These are red onions that were planted from seed directly in the fertility layer that's just below the most coarse chips that you can see here. Over here, I'm going to zoom in, you can see an onion coming up there and an onion coming up there. These are volunteers, and they came right up through this cover that you see here, these big gigantic thick chips. And the reason they did so is because they're actually growing in the much finer media that lies below this. The finer media that lies below this is 8 years old, so it's very, very fine. But I gotta say this, it's also very separate from where these particular onions are, because they're not in that old soil. If I was to pull that out, you'd see there might be another 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of length on the bottom of that. There really isn't much of a root ball formed yet. It's still an adolescent. It will not take the form of an onion ball for quite some time. But what's meaningful to note about that is it's not really in the fertility layer. It's growing in the bottom of these coarse chips that you see here, in the top of less coarse chips that are sitting directly above the finest. So yeah, understand that. The finest breakdown will always be closest to the earth, and then it works its way up towards the coarsest. And it's coarse because we like to keep this coarse chip around, because it acts to prevent germination of seeds that we don't necessarily want to find in our Eden grows. You can see over here I've raked some of the even coarsest stuff towards the side and towards the edges. A lot of times it's the first place I step into the garden, so I break those up with my feet. And come down here through some other onion plants. I've talked previously about how I plant these onions on my borders because they do to some extent help keep a balance. Now I've come up on a late broccoli crop. This is one that we planted about a week ago, and you can see here the dark rings, the dark circles, are where we've basically just kind of scraped away the coarsest chips, located some finer media, and planted direct in that. The broccoli will grow quite well in this. More to follow. We'll come back later in another month or so to show what we got going on. Continuing along the border, you can see there's even more onions, more onions. We love onions. You see some bulbets forming. Onions that like to reproduce, grow here all the time. Down lower, I can see this little critter right here. Maybe you can see it. I can't see it on the screen, but it's a lady beetle, ladybug. There's another one right here. There's another one over there. And these guys are here because we had a slight aphid infestation on these onions when they reached sort of the pinnacle of their dormancy. When it was really, really cold, the aphids came in. But I want to show you the response, Mother Nature's response. There was another ladybug there. But they're literally all over the place. So we had aphids. I used Dr. Bronners Soap 2 mornings in a row, and then on the 3rd day I rinsed everything off because I don't want that soap impacting these ladybugs. You know what I'm saying? And if you look really close, if my video is clear enough, you might see some of the leftover dead bodies of aphids. Well, ladybugs are known to feast on aphids, and this is proof positive that that's exactly what they're doing. Okay, enough on that. Over here is my strawberry patch. The strawberry patch is only a couple of years old. It grew really, really fast. It took over. We love it. It's got constant moisture because the frog and toad pond is directly below it. We don't cover these. I don't like covering them. Temperature and climate is so moderate here in the Piedmont of North Carolina that it's not necessary. You can see sort of interspersed inside the strawberry patch is actually a second variety of strawberries, wild strawberries. They just kind of grow in here because they exist here. And for some reason, they like to grow next to their own kind. So there they are. I've been pulling them out for years. Okay. Wild stuff and green rubber mats. So here I'm going to take a walk on the rubber walk that I have set up around as a border. These are mats that were used on someone's roof structure. They had a little like crow's nest up there that they hung out in, and the whole entire area was covered in these mats. I did a remodel for this gentleman and he wanted these mats gone, so naturally I said I'd be happy to accommodate by taking them to my garden. He said, plant them if you will. Love to see them get used again. Anyway, that's what we do. I don't even know where to get them. I've searched and thus far have been unsuccessful at finding their origin. More onions, more onions. Asparagus. I want to show this plot really, really quick because this plot's about maybe 20 feet by 15 feet entirely, and it houses several rows of Mary Washington and Jersey Knights asparagus that we really, really have become fond of. It's all said and told, it's about an 8-year-old stand. These asparagus will be popping up shortly. They're going to let me know that spring has sprung. It's official. Once I see these spears come up, it means it's go time. I've been planting because we never stop planting. One of the most important things about growing in Eden is that you tend to the garden all the time. And if I'm going to tend to the garden all the time, that means I have to plant all the time. And here you can see a garlic crop that's coming up. All I did was simply scrape back the top layer of chips and planted in the fertility layer beneath them. These garlics that you see here, some of them are from cloves of 2nd generation garlic seeds, and the smallest ones that I'm going to zoom in on here are actually from garden seeds. Not sure if you can make that out. I'll know when I review the video. If it's worth anything, I'll leave it in place. As you can see, several rows of garlic have been planted. I love them. I can't get enough of them. We use this garlic for a lot of different things. One thing in particular is naturally we would like to season our foods with it. Another is when we find some garlic that I need to cull or not use, often I'll make a judgment as to whether or not to use it as a seed for future growth. Here you can see both. On the left, you see garlic grown from actual seed, and on the right, you see garlic grown from the clove. They were split apart and planted, greenery facing up, and this is what you get. I'm getting to the deeper section in my garden now, okay? Up top there, it's about 12 inches deep, maybe a little further, maybe more than that. By the time you get down to dirt, it's probably 14 inches deep. But I'm gonna go down here below, and you'll see at the bottom, because we're on a slope, the depth begins to increase. Not surprisingly, this is where we've grown our root crops for many years. By the time I get down here to the lowest section of the garden, I put you down at mat height, that's about 24 to 30 inches worth of wood chips that have broken down through the years into a very, very fine media, and then simply covered with coarse chips that I collected and saved last year. We grow our root crops here. Obviously, it's deeper and the roots have more opportunity to grow down as well as out. They thrive here. Not a single root crop ever touches dirt. This is something I've spoken about, written about. I preach about it all the time. And now I'm going to show you why. That's my dirt, and those are my weeds. That's my chips, and that's my garden. The weeds don't grow there. They grow there in the dirt. My vegetables don't grow there in the dirt with the weeds because I don't want them to compete for nutrition. I don't want them to have to compete with something else that's taking their life force away, slowing down their growth process, which in turn inhibits the quality and the flavor of that food. Why would I want to do that? What else is down there? I'll call a few things out.